All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone can hear me this AM here. And yeah, excited for what should hopefully be a strong end to what's been a really good trading week, right? We've managed the volatility pretty well. We've managed the kind of like fake outy nature of this market really well, and we've navigated the futures roll, the FOMC announcement, and we have now one kind of like massive hurdle left. So what we're looking for here today, right, is to manage the option expiration that we're going to be seeing across the board. So today's event is called quad witching, which means, it's triple witching. So it means that you have monthly, weekly, and daily options all expiring here at the same day. Very similar, right, to the futures roll where you get a lot of forced buying and selling. But historically, triple witching or quad witching days are quite bearish. So if you look at them from a historical perspective, I think it's from 2019 onward. Triple witching days are bearish 75% of the time, with an average move of negative like 0.75%, right? So negative 0.75%. Now there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, right? That's a little bit potentially of a deceiving sample size. Would probably need to see, what the move is at the start of a tightening cycle, right? The first quad witching or first triple witching post tightening cycle, yada, yada, yada. So it's probably not something for us to be like afraid of, but it definitely is something that we should be aware of and give the market its kind of like respect within that context here today, right? So it's just like understanding, right, that there's going to be a lot of potentially like weird, wacky, funky volume, and just not getting overwhelmed by that, right? Not rushing into something here today and not getting too much tunnel vision. I think it's just really going to be the core element. The other thing, right, that I want to focus on here a little bit before we start, right, is just understanding what trading is. And this is something that gives me a lot of stress in general, right? But trading is fundamentally a long-term game, and it is something that is consistently at conflict with our short-term desires, right? So every day, my emphasis or my objective or my desire is to make money. That's what I want to do, right? That's what everyone here wants to do. That's what everyone watching wants to do. But we cannot allow our desire to make money in the short term to effectively compromise our ability to create like a winning process. So it's a little bit of like a opposites attract type thing, right? Or it's like a little bit of a paradox, because creating that long-term winning process and playing the numbers game and accepting the variance and being consistent in your approach and being deliberate, right, in how you study your trades is ultimately what makes you want to be, or what makes you successful. But the near term focus or like the short term obsession, right, on finding the next winning trade and the almost like fulfillment of having our ego satisfied by that win puts it at odds, right, of actually doing those long term things that are actually good for us. So it's really important, right, that we at times effectively acknowledge this like yin and yang relationship between those two ideas. And we got to make sure, right, that we're not too zoomed in or too focused here this morning on a short-term P&L result, right? So a singular winning trade is not going to be what makes you a profitable trader. And so we can't attach our ego to that, right? We can't make ourselves feel as if my self-worth or your self-worth, right, is associated to the result of that decision, because ultimately it's not until we make it feel that way. Because once our ego is effectively influenced by our trading, then yeah, we're going to make a lot of bad decisions and we're probably going to compound mistakes. And then we are one day away from being in the poorhouse. So very much just forcing yourself, right, to understand that it's okay to feel that conflict, but that the more important thing, right, is to zoom out long term, to play for that bigger prize, and to optimize for making a good trading strategy. Not a good trade is going to make you a lot more money. And I would challenge you all to really attack that here aggressively on this Friday, right? Fridays historically are days where it's very easy to ruin your week, right? Going into a weekend, and there is no reason to do that. So really today, team, challenge I'm putting out to everyone, myself included: focus on the variables we can't control, optimize for the bigger prize, and let's not allow our ego, right, to tell us that the world is ending, because that is not the reality. Even last week when we had 2 red days, the world was not ending, right? And it's a reality that every trader is going to lose, that every trader is going to have red days. But that is a part of your system. That is designed to be a part of your technique. And when you backtest something or you stress test something, you're not expecting 100%. So stop expecting yourself to be that trader on a day-to-day basis, and instead expect yourself to focus on the quality of your process, because that is the most important thing. All right. And that, right, means not only just trading with a deliberate nature, but that also means, right, the quality of your review, of making it easy for you to study your trades, for not wasting your time, right, while you're here. And yeah, I would challenge you all to attack that with extreme enthusiasm. All right, so a little bit of a longer rant than normal here. But yeah, figured I needed to get that off my chest a little bit this morning. And yeah, let's get after it. So fine, not going to be a crazy economic calendar day here today. And yeah, let's get after it here. So green candle, decreasing volume, gap up, 2 out of 3 to the upside without. We're at above 7. So we're looking at 67.20 here, pre-market high as our starting point. And then to the downside here this morning, right, we're looking at a 66.80. 66.70. And then, yeah, go from there. So let's see how it goes. Okay. NQ, similar thing, maybe a slightly stronger candle close again, right? So it's above that, you know, relative 700, right? So it's above that Monday high or Tuesday high, closing above, again, above that. Now, I said this yesterday when we talked about that relative strength, but NQ, it's, you know, I'm always going to look at it maybe with some rose tinted glasses. Definitely my favorite. Again, so 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. And we're targeting 24.9 here as our starting point to the upside. And then to the downside, we're looking 24.6 as our starting point. Again, I'm hopeful that TradingView is going to have its shit sorted out here today with ES1 and NQ1, right? They should be reflecting the forward contract. I mean, they should have been reflecting it since Tuesday. So we'll be optimistic, I guess, right? That it will be reflected. If not, right, then all we'll do is we'll just not allow TradingView to be glitchy. ES1 and NQ run right now are the December contract. The code for that December contract is Z. So to trade ES, right, it would be ESZ. To trade NQ, it would be NQZ. Z is the country code, or sorry, the monthly code. So if we do have to trade those specifically, the tickers are in the watch list, right? So you can just click them there, or right, you can type in NQZ 2025 or ESZ 2025. So again, please guys, let's make sure we understand that. It's very, very, very important. And yeah, fourth or fifth day of talking about this, so we should hopefully understand that at this point. But yeah, let's hopefully TradingView kind of bails us out. All right, CL. So pretty big volume there, right? Gapping down 3 for 3. This kind of to me looks a little bit like a pseudo channel here, or maybe even like a bit of a bear flag type thing. Right, something like that would probably be where I see it. The big concern with CL here this morning, right, would just be making sure we don't hit that 5%. So our 5% limit here today would be 60. So again, I kind of haven't mapped out. We'll go like 60-50 to the downside would make some sense. And we're at what, 62.74. So targeting 62 as our starting point outside of the opening range. So this is now also rolled over. This could very much be like a trend line bounce. And then we're breaking out towards 63.50. And again, right, the reason why we're not concerned about this volume profile, yesterday was the roll day, right? So expecting this to always be increasing volume on the roll. Let's make sure, guys, right, that we're knocking that out here. Yeah, and let's go from there. So yeah, hopefully we can have ourselves a strong session. Okay, Apple, 1 for 3. Tesla, 1 for 3. Microsoft, 2 out of 3 with volume. Amazon, inside bar. NVIDIA, 1 for 3 technically to the upside here, 4-cent gap down, so it's not get too carried away. AMD, really good volume, 2 out of 3 to the upside. Meta, weak, 2 out of 3 with volume. One for 3 on Netflix. Took me a second there to realize that one. And then Google, 2 out of 3 without vol. And then VIX, right, 15.3. So again, expecting an implied range of just a little bit less than 1%. Okay, fired through that just in time. Let's get after it here, team. Let's have ourselves a heck of a day. How's everyone feeling this Friday? Everyone feeling sharp? Oh, this is being dumb already. Oh man, Patrick, if I have a 73 sleep score, I'm panicking. So again, guys, right? I'm just watching this on the specific December contract, right? It's the same thing as ES1, but TradingView is just being an idiot. It's really annoying. So again, right, those are updated in my current watch list. You all have access to that. Okay, so yeah, not a huge opening range, all things considered. 30 points is pretty small. Okay, unlikely to get increasing volume here on these second candles. Fine, right? Kind of what we expect. Potentially we'll have an opportunity to play that clean breakout pattern, right? If it does happen. But let's see. So first thing, right? When we're second candle of the day and we're watching it break out, we're basically asking ourselves, right? Is this giving me a fake out example or is this giving me a breakout example, right? So if I were to look at my ORB logic graphic, I'm watching, are we breaking out of the compression and holding through it, right? Or are we breaking under and then closing back inside? Whatever direction, right, that second candle dictates is going to be focusing my eyes effectively, right, on what type of setup I'm most likely to look for. So at the moment, right, 50 seconds to go, it's looking most likely as if it's going to be a breakout setup. And then we're going to be looking for either a high volume confirmation, right, or a continuation under, right, on increasing outlier volume. Now, with 30 seconds to go, it's looking like a fake out scenario, at which point, right, we'd be looking for a high volume bullish reversal to go for a red to green trade, right? So we then go from, instead of trading the high vol breakout to the downside, right, we'd be looking at this low vol fake out here for a continuation move to the upside. So 5 seconds to go. We're now probably saying, okay, this is quote unquote broken out from that zone of compression. So now we'd be looking for a high volume confirmation candle because volume did not occur on that 933 bar. And so we are waiting, right, for that enthusiasm to show up. If you're effectively unfamiliar with the setups we're trading, guys, I would really recommend taking this graphic from the DTR trading docs. Should be posted there. There's going to be a lot of rules there already in play. There's a lot of descriptions about the stop losses in play, etc., etc. And have that up in front of you and ask yourself, okay, which version of that graphic am I watching? And then alternatively, right, this weekend, pour yourself your favorite cocktail, put on your favorite music or audiobook or podcast, and just sit down and find 100 examples, right, of the fake out and then the breakout and then the fake out and then the breakout, right? So only way to train your eye is to put in that repetition, and that's definitely going to be your easiest way to do that. So all we now have right now is an active setup, right? We have no confirmation that our setup is correct because we are missing volume, right? We don't have an increasing outlier volume standard. The second volume bar is decreasing relative to the first bar of the day. So there's no reason for us to trade here yet. Okay, again, with 55 seconds to go, we're about halfway up on that volume profile. Unless something changes here dramatically, probably a little bit unlikely that we are going to get that increasing volume here. We still have bearish characteristics on this candle, so our setup has not been invalidated here yet. We would still be looking for a continuation narrative. Even if this candle closes green, it wouldn't change anything here too much. Unless it closes at like, 760 or something. But hard to call that a failed move there to the downside. Again, right? Pretty pathetic volume. Now, with that volume standard that was established, it is outlier volume. So quote unquote, still decent momentum, but it's also low enough now where it's kind of reasonable for us to expect that we could start to see that increasing volume standard start to show up, or at least there's a higher probability here all of a sudden. It's very rare that the second candle of the day is increasing volume. So now we're kind of back in potentially some business here. And so far, still a lower low, still a lower high. So again, bearish characteristics. It's a little bit of a fake out, but not a super aggressive one as of yet. Okay, now it's invalidated, right? Higher high, so no longer bearish characteristics on that setup. So all of a sudden, right, that means that we're switching our focus to looking at that low vol fake out / bearish failure, right? So in this circumstance, now we can contextualize that as 2 consecutive lower lows on decreasing volume. And now we're looking for bulls to reclaim control with a bullish engulfing candle and bullish engulfing volume. Okay, it's enough volume. We got to be careful about this candle close. Not exactly a strong one here. Pretty punchy top wick. So I would pass on this burden of confirmation now to a longer time frame. Right, so I've got a setup here on the 3 min, but it's not perfect. So instead of trading on the 5 or on the 3, I'd rather see if we can get it on the 5 and establish a smoother environment. So people always ask, right, why do I switch between time frames? Why do I do whatever? It's because something on the shorter time frame looks weaker than I would want, right? So I would rather give the security time to basically smooth out its signal. Okay, so again, right, this 5 min candle now kind of behaving a little bit like this same 3 min candle that we saw there earlier, right? So the warning sign that things were maybe slowing down or not behaving how we expected, kind of giving us a consistent story at the very least, right? So we're back inside that zone of compression. And so now we're effectively resetting, right, our approach of how we're viewing the strategy. So now we're back to looking for either a fake out above or under the zone of compression or a breakout through. So we're back to a clean slate. Does that make sense? So we've seen our setups fail in both a breakout and a reversal, right? And they failed prior to getting confirmation. So no point, right, being ego attached to those ideas because we have no evidence that they're actually going to be profitable for us. So instead, we reset, see if the market wants to get rid of its indecisive personality trait here at the moment, and then we can go from there. So if I were to look at CL right now, what setup is this? And do we or do we not have confirmation? No, it's a breakout with confirmation, right? The breakout candle happened on increasing and outlier volume. So it's a breakout with confirmation, right? Because the breakout held under and it held so on increasing outlier. So would be theoretically looking for a setup here, Don, exactly like you're saying, right? Using the pullback entry technique. Now, the reason why I'm not super enthusiastic about this, right? I've been watching this for 90 seconds and price has moved 2 cents. Probably not the way that you'd expect it to behave here quite yet. Again, it just gets stuck, right? Like it's not trading view being an idiot today. It's just, it's not moving very much. It's fine. It's the way it goes sometimes. Chris, do you understand why this is a confirmation, right? Why the confirmation and setup candle are the same? No. Confirmation occurs when the candle closes with volume. It can happen on one candle. It can happen on the second. It can happen on the third. But the setup candle and the confirmation candle can occur at the same time. Confirmation occurs once the candle closes, right? That's when you're looking for confirmation. The setup occurs once price breaches through the zone of interest, right? So in our case, the setup occurs, right, once price is under 743.50. And depending on the context of the price, we know that we're either looking for a breakout setup, right, or a reversal setup. And then confirmation occurs when you either get a break, close, and hold under on increasing outlier volume or back towards. And again, so far a good decision, I think, to have avoided this CL. Didn't like how price action felt stuck. Stuck and breakout doesn't quite tell me the same story, right? So, okay, 5 min here. What's our setup? Do we or do we not have confirmation? So we have a setup, right? Do we or do we not have confirmation on this 5? So yes or no? It's a binary, guys, right? It's a binary. Yeah. So on the 3 min, potentially, yeah. So just 3 min just closed. So strong candle close, right? Breakout and hold above the opening range occurs on increasing outlier volume. That is a confirmation. Okay, so stop loss here would be 790. Main problem with this is the really hard to get a risk reward justifiable for the size of the implied move. My reference price, guys, I would have it as 800. I would like to see the reaction around that area. If we are going to fake out, right, it would be on a fake out above 800 and then like a violent flush under. So I'm going to buy myself time to make this decision. I don't need to be in a particular rush. Again, let's see if it can sustain and hold. I'm not opposed to seeing a fake out happen here first or some sort of bearish failure to happen here first, especially if we can get this thing to hold above 800 on volume. Then it'd be a little bit easier to justify a breakout towards 900 instead of that 942. And that would give me a little bit more flexibility with how I am able to manage my risk reward. We don't have 10 a.m. data to worry about here this morning. Our biggest concern at this point is just having the execution parameters we need to justify taking the risk. Okay, so again, we're watching here. And I'm a little bit paranoid that we're going to get a little bit of a flush through 800. So I'm just being very patient. Have everything set up. Right? My risk is 10 points. So pretty easy to figure out the math, right? $200 a contract. So it would be a 2 contract play, right? Held above 800. Let's see if we can get maybe a little bit of a fake out here now. Again, all I'm doing right now is watching. I'm not quite ready to execute this trade. There's that fake out potentially. Let's see if it fails. Okay, very nice. So now we'd be looking at a 785 stop loss, 786 stop loss. Okay, and then looking for a pullback. I'll go 797. Again, watch that reaction under 800. 6 points. Let's see if we can get it. And again, we would not have made money having entered this position here on this candle, right? We would have been faked out and then this thing would be now up. So don't pretend, right? You would have made money here yet on that decision. The only way you would have made money is if you had broken your trading rules, which is not particularly sustainable. Don't hold yourself to an unrealistic standard. Again, watching, right? I would like to get under 800. 797 is my target. And that would still maintain the 2 contracts. Just because that's what the market's been doing recently, Sammy, right? So studied my trades last weekend. And I just constantly saw my stop losses getting faked out prior to an entry happening. So let's watch here. It's probably moving a little bit too quickly so far. Still gonna be patient. I'm not sure if I like that candle close too much yet. I'd like to see it find support off of this. Otherwise, I still think maybe this move is stalling. Okay, that's potentially interesting. So that would push stop loss to be 785. 5 points of risk. That's very tight. Probably too tight. Not quite the same reaction as we had last time on the fake out, right? Last time it made that little touch under, it was like 790, and then it exploded higher, back up above 800. This time it's stalled out a little bit more. It's already behaving a little bit differently. Okay, so again, feels like a good decision to have avoided this. What the fucking screenshot tool? Okay, so again, back to potentially looking for that fake out scenario. Very similar to how things set up yesterday. Still being patient here. Probably something like that. 780 stop. $701. All right, guys, I'm in. Average price 789. Stop loss 780. 2 contracts. I mean, this thing blasted off right away. Sorry about that one, team. This thing exploded right away. Well, there's your retest. Not the best candle close for me. Come on, get over 800. So everyone had the opportunity there, right, to get the same entry price as me or better. Hopefully you guys took advantage of it. Like to see it get over 8. It seems to be struggling just enough where it's a bit of a mental nuisance. There, that's 801. Let's see if we can push now. This 800 reaction has been less enthusiastic than I want. If I'm being objective here. Come on, baby. Keep pushing. The volume here is what's disappointing to me, right? On an 800 breakout through that psychological level, if bulls were really strong, there would be more volume. I don't know why it's missing, and I think that that's my warning sign here. All right, guys, I am out. Close price 797, 797. So I will potentially try this again if it wants to set up here appropriately. But that lack of volume, not being able to hold 800, this is a reason to get out, not a reason. Not a reason, right? Hold on. So I'll take my 320 bucks. But it wasn't telling me strength. Now, okay, obviously it's going to keep running here. Classic. Well, I don't think I made a bad decision. Yeah, maybe didn't maximize PNL there, but I tried to give it as much time. Nice work, Mike. Good exit. If we get another increasing volume candle here, or we can get a separation away from these wicks, should make it a little bit easier. And that trade, guys, was a very good reminder, right, of execution technique here. So there's a video about this in the how to trade with DTR section. And it's basically don't chase my entry. So if I say I'm in at 802, right, hypothetically, right, say I'm in at 802, and then you're setting up your order and you click submit, look at the price now, right? It's 803.50, it's 804, it's 805.75. It's a completely different entry price, and then different position sizing, whatever it might be, right, for your trade. If you just wait the 30 extra seconds or the minute like you potentially had to wait for that previous trade, it's going to retest my entry price. You'll be able to get the same one or better, and you'll actually make money. Whereas if you're chasing my entries, you're going to make less money when we win, and you're going to lose more money when we lose, right? So it skews then the risk reward away from your favor, and it's no longer trading the same strategy as me. So I'm always going to tell you guys what my entry price is, right? On 99% of trades, right? It's going to retest that entry price. So if your technique here is to wait to hear that I am in a trade and then jump in at the same price, right, as me or better, don't chase that entry, because it will lead, right, to oversized losses and undersized wins. And that is not why we are here. So price doesn't move in a straight line, pretty much never. So please slow down your execution and try to get a better entry than me. It's very important, guys. You will make a lot more money, even if it feels in the moment like you're going to miss a lot more trades. You're not going to miss trades. And a great decision, team, right? We saw the warning sign. Price action wasn't telling us that strength at 800. It felt suspicious. We got out. We locked in a little win. You can do the calculation yourself. The other thing that you can do, you can go into your account history or like whatever. It'll tell you what your daily P&L is inside your prop account. Hey, do you know where that these nuts? Do you know where that comes from? Like, do you know why I do that, or like what or why that happens, or why I make that involuntary sound? Right? It's because when I take a trade, before I take a trade, in my mind, I know how it's going to look like, right? Or what strength looks like. And so when it starts to behave where it doesn't look like strength, right? Then my brain's like, this doesn't make any sense, right? And that's where the noise comes from, right? So it's not because I've got some like crazy market intuition. It's because when I close my eyes, I can see what a winning trade looks like. I can see what a losing trade looks like, and I can see what an early trade looks like. And on 2 out of 3 scenarios, if price action is stalling, it's 66%, right? More likely to be early or wrong. And you don't get paid for being early. So yeah, rather get out and try again and get impartial than hoping, right, I get bailed out. And yeah, that's the thing with the trade, right? If my entry isn't correct. What else am I wrong about? Right? It's kind of a humbling question, but that's what we should be asking ourselves, right? If my entry isn't correct, oh, this motherfucker, then yeah, what else am I wrong about, right? And yeah, we, again, maybe, could have made a little bit more here, but we've avoided 2 fake outs. And that feels really good. Considering last week was fake out heavy, to correct for that, not get faked out once this week, I got to give myself a little chef's kiss. That's a nice little bounce back. Um, I'm not sure if I would necessarily call this bull flag. And the reason I would say that is I don't know if I trust that flagpole, right? For me, there's not enough separation here away from basically the open to justify it, right? Your flagpole, so I mean, if you want to call it this, right, that's what you're describing. But your flagpole would be this candle. So, like your breakout and your consolidation, it's kind of the same size, right? So your implied move would be to like 830-ish. So I guess theoretically it is a bull flag, but it's probably a little bit too chody for me to want to trade it because I don't see the like risk reward to justify that move. 100%, Mike. And like I said, price retests it 99% of the time, like pretty much always. So chasing it just feels really good, but it actually makes you a lot less money. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would be too surprising for us to just get, equal move lower, equal move higher effectively here today, which is kind of what we've seen, right? Had like a little baby breakout lower, little baby breakout higher. Not really anything interesting in between. Yeah, like the trades are like the bus. If you miss one, another one is coming. Now, there's always a lot of FOMO going out, Mark. Again, like one of the started the day off, right? Kind of talking about how your short-term desire to find the winning trade kind of contradicts with your long-term desire to build a winning system. Because I need confirmation, Mike, right? That there's a setup there to the downside. I don't have an appropriate. I mean, maybe, Victor. Hosting the stream on YouTube, though, has a lot of benefits for people who are here on trial. If you decide to be a member full time, there's a different server link or stream link that you can access. So just Mike, just to further answer your question, right? A move failing in one direction doesn't indicate that the other direction is now in control. We still need to get an appropriate confirmation that bears are now the most powerful party. So chasing, what I would say, Austin, is like if I jump in right on this trade, NQ, right? We got in 89 and now price action is 96. If you clicked 96, your entry at 96, I would say that that's chasing your entry. So chasing for me, right, would be about going after a feeling more than a price, if that makes sense, right? So I would define chasing based on my reference price, right? So if my reference price, I think it was 792 on the last trade, an entry above 792, that's a chase. An entry below my reference price, good entry. And then I guess the other element, right, would be if you're setting up your order only after I've told you what my price is, and then you're just clicking submit market order, jumping in, that would be chasing parameters. But yeah, I do try to call out trades and set them up in a way to make chasing very difficult, not impossible. But hopefully we try to make that more difficult here. Okay, so 38 seconds to go. We've got to get above that outlier volume. I don't think we're going to get there. So again, we've got a setup, but no active confirmation. And again, guys, if I don't get another trade here, another green day, right? Green every day this week. Yeah, I mean, by the sounds of it, Austin, I wouldn't probably indicate that you're chasing. Your process sounds a little bit more deliberate because you're setting up your order in the same way I am, right? So like it kind of sounds like you're thinking I'm trying to get a discount relative to the reference price, which is all my thought is in that moment here too. But what I would then potentially adjust here is to then, if you're entering after I say I am in, wait until I tell you my price and then look for a price at my entry or better. That would be like best case scenario. 3, same thing. We're missing the outlier volume. We've got increasing, but not above average yet. So for me, it's just a little bit more like consolidation for now. So I'll be pretty chill. It's 10:30. We've made a bit of money. We've seen the market pretty well. Yeah, so my setup here right now, right, is this low vol fake out or this bullish failure here to the upside, right? So the failed move above the opening range. And we're now looking for confirmation that bears are in control since that reversal. At the moment, we don't have anything that stands out or indicates that there's been like a change in personality. This, right, more or less in context, looks like compression or consolidation inside our opening range and kind of tells us, right, that we've got non-trending PA. So our setup here, right, is this failed move at say like 10 a.m. or this consistent failed breakout, right, around 800. But our confirmation has just not shown up here yet. So we've got setups, but no indication that bears are so aggressively in control that it's going to move more than it has. Confirmation, guys, is increasing volume relative to the previous bar and outlier. Again, guys, there's so much material about confirmation standards and their binary nature inside the inside the Discord the how to trade section, DTR, the trading docs, and the start here all have, you know, upwards of 3 or 4 videos discussing confirmation standards, what confirmation candles look like, and those binary natures. I would really recommend reviewing some of those material here this weekend, because I've been a little bit surprised about the misunderstanding of what that is here today a little bit. Confirmation is the same on every single trade. So I would really recommend making sure that those concepts are clear in your mind, because those should be fundamentals that we are not getting wrong. It's one of those things that it's a binary for us, right? Either we have it or we don't. And it should be that clear in your head over what that standard is. TradingView has driven me freaking insane here. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty unlikely to place a trade here too, Mike, just because markets have not moved, right? All things considered. And they're far less likely to move an hour after market open than they are in the first hour. So same thing as you here a little bit, right? I'm getting very limited evidence that it's worth being aggressive here today. I'm up $320. I should probably take it, right? So we'll give it a bit more time to see if it wants to figure something out. But by the looks of it, it seems unlikely to be another trade here this morning. Yeah, theoretically, this would be a pretty good trading setup. That's a textbook breakout with confirmation. Again, the same issue. I mean, we saw on this initial setup here to the downside that we looked at 940. Price action has just been stalling post confirmation. So if we look now, right, at how the chart has behaved here so far today, here's your first breakout setup, failed. Here's your second breakout setup, failed, right? Made a higher high, actually broke out the high a day. So probably base expectation here would be that this one has to fail first, because that's what you've seen here so far today, right? So maybe a little bit more of a choppy backdrop versus necessarily a trending backdrop. I don't know, CL is very temperamental. I have a lot of trust issues trading that. So, you know, maybe there's a little bit of some confirmation bias there as well. Yeah, it's quad witching day today, Robert, right? So, or triple witching day. We talked about the start of the stream. Yeah, I hate how it just gets stuck. So everything I've seen from CL, right, is that it's just sticky price action. Same thing with NQ, same thing with ES. So it's like across the board, the mentality here, right, or all the evidence I have from today's trading day is that I will not get paid for being aggressive, right? Over trading here is going to be a disaster because nothing is moving. So I almost have to like humble myself to a certain extent, right? By saying that execution in those types of slower market environments probably aren't setting me up to be very green. They're setting me up to have, at best, high intensity, large mental capital deployment, right? Type trades to make peanuts. And if I'm also thinking about it from like a risk reward perspective, I'd probably feel a lot worse seeing my $320 day turn into a red day versus seeing that turn into like a $500 or $600 day. So it does feel a little bit skewed to, yeah, probably from just like a psychology perspective, a mental capital perspective. More maybe on margarita o'clock than trying to force another trade. And I mean, I've been green every day this week. I've had some really nice wins. So yeah, I don't really feel like I need to force anything. It's starting to go. How did everyone trade this week? Everyone green? I'm not sure, Deb. I wouldn't, can't say I tracked that. Love it, team. Good to hear everyone's doing well this week. Good, good. Who's got the high watermark on the week? Anyone done more than 5K? I'll be honest with you, Mark. I'm really bad at taking time off. I generally tend to struggle to do that, good or bad. So for me, no, I usually trade until the point of burnout and then have a meltdown on the stream and then take a holiday. So that's usually how things go from my perspective. Generally, I would say that if I'm trading the market well and I'm making good money and I'm pressing, then I should keep trading until I'm proven wrong. Now, if I'm making big money because I'm making mistakes, okay, there's a little bit of variance, whatever you want to call it that. But no, like I'm I don't know how to say this, maybe in the I don't sound like ridiculous, but a winning trade or like a winning day feels good for like 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't know if I get like that euphoria anymore, truth be told. Not sure if that's something that I necessarily feel like I react to anymore. But yeah, like I said, one of my biggest blinders or biggest blind spots is I don't take time to celebrate those things or to like enjoy them sometimes. Like I said, I work until I'm burnt out usually, and then need a break and do something stupid. And that's probably not the healthy or smart way to do it. What's the difference still, Austin? It's like last week wasn't great, but should be up. Yeah. It's yeah, like I said, it feels, I know it sounds ridiculous, but a winning trading day feels good for 5 minutes, and then it's like I need another one. I need another one, right? It's never enough. Well, I will say in general, every time I have 2 losing days in a row, my email inbox gets very miserable. So what I would say, Chris, right, is that the opening range breakout strategy is we trade it for the first 90 minutes for a reason. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference still, Austin. Like last week was not fun for sure, but not including today, we should have recovered that difference, right? We had 2 kind of bad, shitty days. Nothing too crazy. So not including today, should be up, 800-ish bucks in the last 8 days net after the worst trading week of the year. So if that's where you're at after your worst trading week, that's not a bad place to be, all things considered. It's not super fun to admit that, but yeah, last week was my worst trading week of the year. Yeah, have a great day, Karina. You too, Kath. Enjoy. Like again, guys, right? Like we're all gonna lose. We're all gonna have red days. We're all gonna get our butt kicked. That's the game we've signed up for. So have to accept that. We have to understand that it's a part of what we do. And everyone has a red week, everyone has a red month, even everyone has a red day. If we turn that into the end of the world, it's a big deal. If we stick to our system, then we're 2 or 3 trading days away from being back at new all-time highs. And that's all we can control, right? So losing in control, being annoyed, but not then wasting your money on tilt, and just being able to transition to that mentality, it'll keep you in the game, right? Trading is about surviving long enough so that you can make enough money. And oftentimes learning how to survive feels catastrophic, but that's the fight. So yeah, I'm not going to apologize for having a red week because it happens to everyone. And no, Austin, I'm not indicating that you're like bitter about it or anything along those lines. And I'm kind of still like giving you praise, right? Because if you had your worst trading week of the year and then you have like an average trading week the following week and you're $700 away from all-time highs in your portfolio, that's a really healthy place to be, right? So yeah, shit happens. There's a bit of variance, like there's a bit of bad luck there. But that's also kind of proving that the system is working and the math works. And it's just about basically avoiding self-sabotage, right? And I think, we talked a little bit about your entry technique here today. If you tighten that up just a little bit, right, and you get that entry timing so you're not chasing, that a little bit, that probably is accounting for that difference right there and then. And all of a sudden you're feeling way better, right? So learning how to survive allows you to then focus on the micro details that actually make you profitable. And that's a really fun place to be. And yeah, okay, look at CL go. Probably would have been able to make quite a bit of money on that play, but that's the temperamental prick I'm afraid of. That's scary. And yeah, there is a learning curve, guys. It is it's intense. I say this all the time. I have a different personality when I'm trading versus when I am not. There is a level of intensity that is required to make money, I think, trading the market. That side isn't always very pretty. And I try to say this to everyone on our calls, but learn my cadence, right? I think it's important to understand. I think I'm pretty consistent in how I talk about my trading. And I tend to have the same reaction. Same way we all have the same reactions, right? Like, I would bet that most of the time when you go on tilt as a trader, your posture slouches over and your breathing gets terrible, right? We all have these like little patterns that start to tell us these little subconscious reactions. What a fucking sell-off, CL. And so, yeah, what's maybe a little bit challenging, maybe sometimes, is noticing the things that I don't realize I'm doing, or like the decisions that I make that are so muscle memory that they're borderline subconscious. Like those hums, the oh, I don't like this reaction, the yeah, like when I complain about my entry price, like those are all usually warning signs that I'm telling myself that I'm wrong. And so just learning all the ways that I call myself an idiot is kind of a part of your learning curve. No, I set my ticks to 0, right? But then I'm just looking for it to be less than my reference price. So, Chris, if I was looking for an entry short, right, I would set my ticks to 0 to be here now, but then I'd only click submit once it's above 62.85. Right, so that would be the technique. And then what you should do, right, is if I tell you my entry, so say I get in 62.89, then if you didn't get in before me or at the same time as me or whatever, then you should change your reference price to be 62.89 and reset that process, right? Then just wait till it's above that price. One thing, guys, as well, I have added some upcoming holidays or like trips I have to do here. So, like I mentioned, I'm in the start of my got just a heavy calendar with like bachelor parties and weddings and stuff like that. I have an upcoming wedding in the UK. It's on a freaking Thursday, which is ridiculous. On October 2nd. So that week, I will be streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then unfortunately, I'll be at the wedding on the Thursday and probably hungover on the Friday, so I'm not going to trade. So stream will be normal, like I said, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'll be in the British countryside, whatever this wedding location is. I'm 32. And then I've got another following trip for a bachelor party. It's like some music festival in Austin in like November. And then I've got like doing a leadership conference type thing in December. So it will be a little bit chaotic here for the next little bit, but these should all be, yeah, you should all have an understanding of what that availability is. We'll do my very best to manage that as best as I can. Yeah, I mean, I think I've done like 6 weddings this summer. But now I'm starting to get my British friends, and a wedding in the UK or in London is so hard to get availability on a weekend. So people got to do like Tuesday weddings or Thursday weddings or whatever. It's ridiculous. All right, guys. Any other questions here? Yeah, enjoy your weekend, Patrick. Well done this week. Not a single losing trade this week, team. That is awesome. Yeah, correct. The Thursday and the Friday. Yeah, I'll take that, guys. Not a single losing trade here. Not bad first day with my new take profit accounts. Yeah, I don't know what else I should call it. It's whatever. It's probably not necessary, this one, but I don't know. It's a creature of habit at this point. All right. So any questions here, team? Yeah, new all-time highs in the portfolio, no complaints. Yeah, that would have been a satisfactory standard. Yeah, I'm not interested in taking anything. So I'm gonna go final call for questions here, team. What do you mean entry might be below that outlier bar? I don't know what that means. My stop loss, right? If I were to box in my trade, it would be from this red line to the high of my confirmation candle, which would be this one here, right? This 1045. So my entry would be somewhere in between this green line and this red line. I don't know what below that outlier bar means. My entry would not be 681 or whatever. I don't really know what that means. Yeah, you too, Austin. Enjoy your weekend. All right, team, final call for questions here. Final call. And what a decision. I knew that fucking bullshit was coming. that was mean. Oh my god. How much better does it feel to protect your mental capital instead of chasing that dumb bullshit? Sorry to curse, but Sometimes when the price action is choppy like the ocean, I curse like a sailor. All right, team. Well, saved you like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Really good trading day here, though. Really good trading week, guys. Really happy with the process, right? Improvements we made here this week. We took the feedback the market was giving us. We adjusted, we adapted, and what a change, right? So not a single losing trade here this week. Felt nice. I'd like that to be every week, but until then, I'll keep being hyper paranoid that my next loss is right around the corner. But besides that, really good trading day. Happy with how we managed it. And yeah, look to be back after our little weekend here and hopefully a smooth trading week here next week. So have yourselves a great one, team, and I'll see you all on Monday. Peace.